Hey guys, Aaron Tainter here. In this video I'm going to show you how to play Ramble On by Led Zeppelin, which is actually one of my favorite songs. And I'm going to show you all the different parts so you can loop it if you want. So let's get started. The first part that you're going to want to play is a muted string strum pattern. The strum pattern is a chicka chicka strum pattern, so chicka chicka chicka. And if you listen to the original version of Ramble On by Led Zeppelin, there's a lot of like rhythmic percussive guitar parts, and the reason why it sounds so huge is they actually overdubbed a couple of guitars in the original song. So by doing this chicka chicka muted strings strum pattern as your first layer in your loop, you're actually creating a bigger sound because you'll overlay the main riff on top of that. And again, you want to do the chicka chicka guitar strumming pattern, and so down up chicka chicka chicka, and you want to play that for 4 measures. So let me just get this set up and we'll build off of this as our bass. 1 2 3 4 2 2 3 4 3 2 3 4 4 2 3 4. Okay, so now we have that set up. Let's work on the guitar part. The main guitar rhythm is very percussive, and the original version was played on the acoustic guitar, so there's a very mid-scoopy kind of sound. I'm using the Helix Stomp today because it's really easy for me to record, and it has a bunch of built-in effects. And the sound that I chose for the main guitar part was like a clean amp, and I scooped a lot of that mid EQ out of that. It's a very sparkly sound. You want to use something like that because once you do your soloing, you don't want that to interfere with the frequencies that you'll be soloing in, which are usually mid-focused. So again, you try to get a sound that's scooped out, so there's a lot of bass in there, but there's a lot of high-end treble as well. So if I play some of these high strings, you can hear how there's like a very high-end trebly sound to that as well. And then, the other thing I should mention too is I put a compressor before that. So it kind of raises up those sounds that my fingers are making on the strings, and that's kind of making it more acoustic-y. But, if you don't have any of these pedals, you can just use a clean amp and it should work as well. The first chord that we're going to play for this main riff is a D major. And make sure to really hold those top strings down with your, either your pinky or if you have a really strong third finger, because you want to hear those top strings when you play it. I play the D major with the top strings, and then I slide straight up to an E major. So it sounds like this. And let me just play the whole riff so you can hear it. So once you slide up to that E major, you keep a chicka chicka strum pattern going. So let's practice that one more time. After you do that, you play just like a bar straight across that 7th fret. So let me play that one more time so you can hear it. Then you hammer down with your ring finger on the A string on the 9th fret and your pinky finger on the G string on the 9th fret. So you play 9, 7, 9. So let me play that one more time. And you could either play a chicka chicka or just 2 downstrokes. I usually play a combination of both, and I kind of mix it up in the song for some more variation, but you can do whichever one you want. The second part of that main riff, you go down to this kind of interesting G chord. It's, normal G looks like this, but it's a different variation of that G. It's just using some of the higher strings. Play that G and you slide immediately up 2 frets using the same shape to the A chord. So it sounds like this. And so let me put that in context. So what I do with that A chord is I take my pinky finger and then I hold it down on the 7th fret of the G string. So it sounds like this. And so what I like to do is I play, instead of just keep going the, chicka, 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 for the whole. You can kind of vary it up by playing just a one downstroke instead of a down up every once in a while. But it's up to you. You can play the chicka chicka the whole time as well. So you hammer down with the 4th finger on the 7th fret on the G string, and then you take it off and play 3 strums without that finger. Let me play the whole riff so you can hear what it sounds like all together. Now let me layer that back on top of the chicka chicka muted strings strumming pattern. Alright, for the bass part, I'm using a bass emulation pedal. So really it's just an octave lower than what the guitar plays. So I'll show you what that sounds like. And you don't have to use this, you can use the guitar. And I actually have a bass, but I chose to just play this because a lot of people use this when they're looping guitar for bass. But you can, use whatever you want. And if you use the guitar without using the octave lower pedal, if you don't have one of those, you can just roll off the tone on your guitar. And you want to get rid of some of those high-end frequencies. Okay, so for the main bass part, you're going to want to play an open E string initially, and then you play a 2 on the A string, and that's the first measure. In the second measure, you're going to play open A, then you go up to a 7 on the A string, and you slide up to 9. And then you go back to the 7 on the A. So it's not exactly with the beat, there's a little syncopation to it. Let me play that again. So here are the first 2 measures. Then the next part gets a little bit trickier, but it's not too bad. So you're going to play an open E string, and then you'll go to the D string and you'll play a 5 and slide up to the 6. So it's, and then you'll go down to the 4th fret on the G string, or D string, sorry. So it's, and then you'll just keep walking down. So then after that, I go down to 2 on the D string, and then I go over to the A string for the 4th fret. Use my 3rd finger for that. 2 on the A string. So let me play that all the way through. And then after that, there's a faster part. So you just got to practice this a few times to get used to it. But it's 0 on the A string. And then I hammer on to 2. You don't have to hammer on. You can use a down-up picking pattern. But I like to hammer on because it's just easier for me. And then I go up to 4 on the A string. I switch over to the D string, 2, using my 1st finger. Go back to the A string, 4 with my 3rd finger. And you do it that fast. So. Let me play that now with the loop so you can see what it sounds like in context. Now there's one more part in that loop, and you don't have to add this, but it adds some extra texture. So it makes your loop more interesting. It's basically this high part on the guitar. So you got some, you got some low strumming going, you got some bass, which is even lower. But then if you want to add something on top that's even higher, which again adds more texture. For this part, you take your 3rd finger, your ring finger, you put it on the 12th fret on the B string, and you hold that out for one measure. So that's a whole note. And then you go down to the 10th fret and you hammer back onto the 12th. And you do that 3 times. So it's... And then you slide up to the 14th fret. And then you go back 12, 10, 12. So that whole thing together. And I usually give it a little vibrato. And then I do have a wah pedal here. And this gives it a little bit more texture as well. And I just want to say again, you don't need a wah pedal. You can do this without it, but... you can add the wah in if you want. Now that you have that loop set up, you can either sing or solo over it. And I can't sing, so I'm going to solo over it. Usually what I do for solos is I have like a tube screamer, and that gives me that mid bump frequency that I like. So I throw that on. You can either solo an E minor blues scale, or you can solo in an E major scale. And I usually like to jump between the two. If you want, you know, I generally don't use a lot of gain for this solo, but you could also step on a heavier distortion pedal too, and it sounds great. Alright, that's it for this video. If you want to see another lesson on how to play Ramble On by Led Zeppelin, you should go check out Marty Schwartz's video because he has a lot of information on how to play that main riff. So it might be helpful for you if you didn't quite catch what I was doing in this video. Thanks again for watching, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so that you keep up to date with all my latest videos. But till then, see you next time.